And all my love, all my kissing, you don't know what you've been a-missing, went right along with sanctification by grace. I don't know how, but it did. So we were big fans of Buddy Holly, the Pharaohs of Rhythm. And we had this idea that we were going to be a rock and roll band, and we were going to get rich, and we were going to record songs and write songs like Buddy Holly's, and we'd get real good. And we'd all live together in a big house out in the country outside Lake Wobegon. And we'd be rich, but we'd still be very nice people. And we'd still go to the Lutheran church, and I would be married to Jim's sister Jeanette, who was a year younger than us. She was a sophomore. This was in 1958-59. And who I used to go out with, kind of out of loyalty to him, I think, because he was my best friend, and she was his younger sister. Though she was nice enough, and I liked her, and I kissed her a few times in kind of a brotherly sort of a friendly way. She was kind of skinny, but she was nice. She was nice. I talked about marrying her a couple of times, though never to Jeanette, always just to Jim. This was sort of a part of our plan with the Pharaohs of Rhythm. She was a Pat Boone fan, which was a bridge I didn't care to cross. She didn't like Buddy Holly. She thought Buddy Holly was kind of dumb. She thought his trademark hiccups were kind of dumb. To me, Buddy Holly was a friend, and if he wanted to hiccup while he sang, that was his business. I didn't question it. He had a right to do what he wanted because he was great, and he was a good man. But she thought he was kind of dumb. I thought she was a little too fascinated by her hair, frankly, like so many girls back then. And she'd be sitting there with you, and she'd say, I just don't know. There's nothing I can do with it. I wash it, and it just goes to pieces. I didn't know why she was so interested in her hair when she had me sitting right there. But she was. Nowadays, she's still skinny. She's still fascinated by her hair. Still living in Lake Wobegon. She married a guy named Jack. And she subscribes to a health magazine for Christian women called Heaven and Health, and reads articles in it about things that she worries about constantly. Like defective can openers, leaving shreds of steel in your food that you eat with your tuna fish or your soup or your stew that kill you eventually, but not right away. An article that says that feeling tired may be a sign of internal bleeding. Jeanette goes and lies down on a couch. She's been feeling tired since she was 23. She talks about this all the time. A can opener. To be so fascinated with a can opener is a person who's not been listening to much rock and roll lately. Is somebody who isn't happy. Is somebody who has no recent experience with sanctification by grace. That's Jeanette. It's sad to see. It's sad to see people a year younger than you, so old. Buddy Holly died February 3rd, 1959, in a plane crash near Mason City, Iowa. February 3rd, 1959, he died after they played a dance at Clear Lake, Iowa. He and Richie Valens, who did La Bamba, and J.P. Richardson, the big bopper, the man who did Chantilly Lace, they went down in a plane. We were sitting that next morning, in Jim's 1951 blue Chevy. He just put on new fender skirts, and we were sitting in the parking lot. He and Paul and I, the pharaohs of rhythm, were all together. Sitting there about 8:30 in the morning, planning on being late to school because we owed a book report on The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. We weren't quite finished with it. We were still kind of writing it, and Jim was tuning the dial on the radio, trying to hear some music and just getting hog prices and weather forecasts. And then all of a sudden, there it was, the news that Buddy Holly was dead in Iowa with Richie Valens and J.P. Richardson. It was a real short news story. And we just sat there. And I remember he hit the steering wheel 3 times as hard as he could. I turned and I just looked out the window for a long time. And I could hear Paul in the back seat ripping up his book report into tiny shreds. And I opened the door and I got out. And I stood there. Buddy Holly was dead, whose songs we did. Jim got out. He said, "We're going to Iowa. We're going to Iowa." I said, "Well, we got to ask our parents." He said, "We'll ask your mother. Your mother can call my mother, and maybe she can call Paul's mother." "All right, let's go." We went home. My mother was in the kitchen, sitting there drinking coffee. I said, "Buddy Holly died. We're going to Iowa." She said, "But it's school today." I said, "This is the only favor I will ask you the rest of my life. We've got to go. This is like a tribute. We've got to be there." She said, "Where's your warm jacket?" I was dressed in black chinos and a black t-shirt and a white dress shirt, kind of early small-town pre-beatnik. My hands stuck down deep in my pockets. I said, "It's out in the car." She said, "Okay." I said, "Could you call Jim's mother and tell her?" She said, "What time will you be home?" I said, "I don't know." I went out, got in the car, and we headed south, down towards Iowa, tuning the radio, looking for Buddy Holly, songs on the radio. We heard some Peggy Sue. We heard some That'll Be the Day. Words of love you whisper, soft and true, darling, I love you. Tell me how you feel. Tell me, is love real? We heard that, heading south. We didn't say much. It was a warm day. It was about 22 degrees. It was a cloudy day, February 1959, heading south, across the Iowa lines, downhill all the way. Jim was driving. He said, "This is the end of rock and roll." He said, "This is the end. This is like losing a war. You just wait. They're going to blame everything on rock and roll. My dad, he'll blame this crash on rock and roll." We just drove south, not even sure exactly where it was. We got down towards Mason City. We stopped at a place called Cal's Oasis. We needed gas. We're just running on empty, on fumes. We pulled into Cal's Oasis and filled up with regular. Cal put on his gloves and his green parka, went out, filled up the 51 blue Chevy. We went in, stood around. I bought 3 candy bars and a bottle of Pepsi, and Jim bought a bag of potato chips, and Paul bought a quart of orange juice with a picture of a smiling orange on the outside of it. Mrs. Cal said, "Where are you boys going? You down here to make trouble?" We said, "No, we come down here to pay tribute to somebody who you probably never even heard of." She said, "No, we heard of him." And she pointed up behind her, and there was a poster up there. And it was autographed. Richie Valens, July 1st, best of luck. He'd actually been in there. We asked for directions, and they kind of told us. They said, here's the airport. They had a map. They drew a map. Here's the airport, and you go down this way, and here's where the plane is, in the field where it crashed. We were by there early this morning. Probably ice on the wings. We followed their directions. We got lost in the country. Then we saw a sheriff's car go by. We followed it, and it went to this place. The light was getting kind of thin. We just pulled in. There were about 40 cars there. A lot of kids standing along the ditch, looking across the ditch, across the barbed wire fence, into a snowy field. There was a big black gash in the earth and what was left of a plane and a canvas tarp hanging over the barbed wire fence, and about 20 men out in the field walking around, and a police car that was stuck in the snow that they were trying to push out. And we just stood there and looked. There were 4 girls in the car next to us, and they got out, asked us if we had any cigarettes. They had white nylon jackets, all 4 of them. We said no, we just had some candy bars, some orange juice. We talked for a while. They were from Mason City. They said that Buddy Holly was on his way up to play a dance in Moorhead, Minnesota. They said every school in America ought to close for a week, but they won't do it. We agreed with them. They shoulda. They said they were going to come to this field every day for as long as they lived in Iowa, just in memory. Suddenly I had to pee real bad. You make a long car trip kind of under pressure like that, you forget about these things. I had to walk about a quarter mile down the road until I came to some trees. And I walked in back there, and I was standing there, and I looked over into the field, and I saw the neck of a blue Gretsch guitar poking up out of the snow. Buddy Holly's guitar, the neck of it stuck there. I was going to go over and pick it up, and then I thought, no, I'm just going to leave it there. I don't want to touch it. Something happened to me if I touch that. Blue guitar neck just sticking out of the snow there. I just walked away and left it. The girls left. About half the people left. We just stood there watching that black gash in the earth. There were pieces of paper blowing around. We thought maybe songs. We didn't know. We didn't pick them up. After a while, Jim said, well, we said, yeah, okay, we better go. We got in the car and we headed back home. We drove on into the dark. He drove for a while, and then he let me drive the rest of the way. We'd been gone a long time, 10 hours, I think. It was amazing how little we said to each other all the way going home. We were just dialing the radio, looking for Buddy Holly songs. There was a station in Iowa was doing a tribute to Buddy, playing all of his great songs, Words of Love and Every Day. And then it kind of faded away as we headed up north. It was dark, dark night. Driving north, 3 guys in a car, smelled of orange juice and candy bars and a lot more. I tuned The radio when I was driving. It was amazing. I just turned the dial and I got this station just as Buddy's song, every day it's coming closer, coming faster than a roller coaster, started, like it was fate, like they were just waiting for me to tune in to play that record. We listened to the whole thing, and then a lot of other stuff. News. News then was the same as it is now. Nothing's changed. Ike and Khrushchev, Reagan and Gorbachev, it's all the same news. But those great songs, as we headed north in the dark, Paul said, he said, we can do it. He said, all we need to do is work hard and practice, write some songs, and we can be a band. We can do it. All we need is a new name. As soon as he said it, I knew it was a lie. Work wasn't going to do anything for us. What we needed was something more than work. Rehearsal wasn't going to help us. It was a great name, the Pharaohs of Rhythm. The problem was us. We weren't pharaohs. It was a great name. It just required great musicians to carry it, and we weren't them. I never was and never will be a pharaoh of rhythm. Just me, just a guy riding in a car. That's all. I knew the pharaohs of rhythm would never make anything. And I knew that I would never marry Jeanette. And I knew that Jim and I would never be best friends for long. And I knew that I would leave that town and go someplace else and do something else and find love someplace else. And so I have. And now I sing that song to her sometimes, every day. It's a coming closer, going faster than a roller coaster. Love like yours will surely come my way. A-hey, 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 every day. It's a coming faster, everyone said. Go ahead and ask her. Love like yours will surely come my way. Every day seems a little longer, every way. Love's a little stronger, come what may. Do you ever long for true love from me? Every day it's a coming closer, going faster than a roller coaster. Love like yours will surely come my way. A-hey, 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 a-hey. Gosh, it seems like yesterday. That's the news from Lake Wobegon. Where all the women are strong, all the men are good looking, and all the children are above average. Thank you, Mr. Dave Moore and his harmonica. Oh, Doyle Lawson and Quicksilver are going to come up and do us a couple of songs here. You're going to do these beautiful a cappella songs, aren't you?
Right.
Yeah.
That's where I was brought up singing.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Where were you brought up? In church then?
Yeah, for the most part. East Tennessee. Kingsport, Tennessee.
All right. What you going to do here?
How long?
How long?
Well, another year this time,
My Lordy,
I may be gone in some lonesome graveyard. Oh Lord, how long? Well, another year this time, I may be gone in some lonesome graveyard. Oh Lord, how long?
Well, I had a dream.
How long?
It was a dream about the judgment.
How long?
Well, God was angry
How long?
about the sins of the people.
How long?
So he spoke to Gabriel.
How long?
Said, looky here, Gabriel.
How long?
Look behind my altar.
How long?
And pick up my trumpet.
How long?
Well, another year this time.
my Lordy,
I may be gone in some lonesome graveyard. Oh Lord, how well another year this time. I may be gone in some lonesome graveyard. Oh Lord, how long?
When you pick up my trumpet,
How long?
I want you to blow it.
How long?
Well, blow right easy.
How long?
For to wake up the sleeping.
How long?
And then blow like thunder.
How long?
To put the sinners under.
How long?
Well, another year this time.
my Lordy,
I may be gone in some lonesome graveyard. Oh Lord, how well another year this time. I may be gone in some lonesome graveyard. Oh Lord, how long?
Going home in the morning.
How long?
Sit beside King Jesus.
How long?
Tell him about my troubles.
How long?
That I had down here.
How well another year this time.
brother.
I may be gone in some lonesome graveyard. Oh Lord, how well another year this time. I may be gone in some lonesome graveyard. Oh Lord, how long?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's the type of music we feature a lot in our all of our concerts. And this is another that feature our bass singer, Ray Deaton. And this called him Climbing Up the Mountain, children, because they didn't come here to stay. Y'all can tell we ain't from around here, can't you? All right, here we go.
Well, I'm climbing up the mountain, children. I didn't come here to stay.
Brother,
If I never no more see you, I'll meet you at the coming day.
great God, I'm
Climbing up the mountain, children.
children.
I didn't come here to stay.
Brother,
If I never no more see you, I'll meet you at the coming day.
boom, boom, boom.
Some say give me silver, some say give me gold. I say give me Jesus, who's precious to my soul.
Great God, I'm
Climbing up the mountain, children.
children.
I didn't come here to stay.
Brother,
If I never no more see you, I'll meet you at the coming day.
boom, boom, boom.
Some people call me noisy. I belong with the noisy crew. Shout when I get happy, like what Christians do.
Great God, I'm
Climbing up the mountain, children.
children.
I didn't come here to stay.
Brother,
If I never no more see you, I'll meet you at the coming day.
boom, boom.
I started out for heaven, to Zion's land I'm bound. With Jesus as my captain, Lord, I will not turn around.
Great God, I'm
Climbing up the mountain, children.
children.
I didn't come here to stay.
Brother,
If I never no more see you, I'll meet you at the coming day.
great God, I heard a mighty run. It was way down in the ground. It must have been the devil, Lord, he was turning round. Great God, I'm
Climbing up the mountain, children.
children.
I didn't come here to stay.
Brother,
If I never no more see you, I'll meet you at the coming day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doyle Lawson and Quicksilver. What a great group. Thank you so much. I want to thank all the musicians who are with us tonight. St. Paul Chamber Orchestra for being here, and Eric Bu with Willie Andreessen, Richard Dworsky at the piano, Mr. Dave Moore, Kate McKenzie, Tom Keith, and Dan Rolls. Thanks to all of them for being here. Hey, let me do a little song. here with you if we just have a minute. A little bit of supper time here. Kick it off there, Doyle, won't you? Thank you so much. Here's a sweet old tune. How many years ago, in days of childhood, I used to play till evening shadows come. Then winding down some old familiar pathway, I heard my mother call at set of sun. Come home, it's supper time. The shadows lengthen fast. Come home, it's supper time. We're going home at last. Oh, I remember that old house where I grew up, and where I used to play with my friends outside on these evenings, and I remember those people who used to take care of us and call us into supper. I think back on those days and think of how many of them are gone. Those childhood days seem to be left me forever. It's sad to think of it because it's so real, that little town. But when I think that, I look around me and I see these kids here in my house. I see a boy playing his guitar. Hear a girl who's walking around singing. I see a little boy who's sitting reading a book, all just like me when I was that age. I'll call them in, take care of them like we took care of our folks, yes sir. Come home, it's supper time. Oh, the shadows lengthen fast. Come home, it's supper time. We're going home at last. We're going home at last. Thank you, boys. That's our show for tonight. Thank you for being here with us. The Prairie Home Companion was written by Emmanuel Transmission with Bill Franson and Gordon W. Menninger. Produced by Margaret Moose. Our associate producers Helen Edinger and Rosalie Miller. Stage manager was Steve Keln. Technical direction by Scott Rivard with all the rest of the crew. Preston Smith, Ernie Retzel, Brian Killian, Bill Nicholson, Ray Markland, Eileen Zatal, and Kate Gustafson. Let's do a little song here and take them off. All my love and all of my kissing, you don't know what you've been missing, oh boy. When you're with me, oh boy, the world can see that you were meant for me. All my life I've been awaiting, tonight there'll be no hesitating, oh boy. When you're with me, oh boy, the world can see that you were meant for me. Stars appear and the shadows are falling. You can hear my heart calling. A little bit of love makes everything right. I'm gonna see my baby tonight. Oh, that's our show for tonight. Thank you for coming. Thanks for letting us come in. Good night. Good night, everybody. All my life I've been waiting.
This is the American Public Radio Network.
More important dates to remember. 1968. A vintage year for Ripple. July 29th, 1933. As a 3-year-old child, Victor Bono eats 87 cases of Gerber's baby food, plus his nurse. April 6th, 1970. Howard Hughes looks into the mirror at the Desert Inn Hotel in Las Vegas and sees nothing. August 4th, 1967. National Prune and Fig Institute devises plan to use trading cards featuring Bob Cummings and Guy Lombardo.
That was Gary Owens. I'm Robert Conrad, and this is Weekend Radio. Country Gazette, that's called Colorado Turnaround. It's from their Flying Fish album, which is entitled Bluegrass Tonight. Opening this week's edition of Weekend Radio, this curiously strange and offbeat potpourri of music, wit, and convivial companionship. Those of you who have access to cable television, and especially the Discovery Channel, undoubtedly have been fascinated throughout the past week with the transmissions from Moscow television that Discovery has been presenting. We cannot give you any excerpts from Moscow television, but we can let you have a little listen in on Moscow radio.
At the third stroke of the hammer on the sickle, the time was exactly 11 a.m. Moscow Standard Time, which is precisely 2 a.m. American Standard Time, proving once again that the glorious Soviet republics are hard at work, while the filthy, decadent democracies are still fast asleep. This program comes to you by courtesy of the makers of Soviet Krispies, the workers' breakfast food. Just pour the Soviet Krispies onto your plate, add milk, and listen to the cheerful... But first, here is a word from our sponsor.
Действительно харанье, товарищ, жуст проходенье, островье Ленин. Жуст пригадай, господу дядьяка, жуст прохининье Хрущев. От пухардинье нехар Сталин.
And now for Comrade Housewife's Choice. And here is our first request from Comrade Natasha Belyenkova, a typical Russian housewife, mother of 73 children, heroine of the Soviet Union, and a spare-time crane driver. And she would like to hear the Moscow State Philharmonic Traditional Jazz Band playing a tune written by Comrade Hoagie Carmichael and dedicated to one of our greatest Soviet Republic states, Georgia. Unfortunately, we have not got this recording here, so here we have a traditional Russian patriotic song by the famous Russian composer, Comrade Dr. Thomas Arndt.
Стой, коррупция, Томас водой, стой, ай! Коррупция, мадамунья, запас собой, ай!
Now here is a special announcement of interest to our little comrades. For 1 week only, the Soviet Crispy Company is giving away absolutely free to the children of Russia genuine junior secret police rubber truncheon. Yours, Comrade Kiddies, for only 2 box tops of Soviet Crispies and the name and address of 2 suspicious relatives. That concludes Workers' Playtime. And now back to Moscow and the newsroom for tomorrow's news.
And of course, on Moscow Radio, you have programs for children.
Здравствуйте. And now, comrades, the story of Little Red Riding Hood, the way we changed it a little for the benefit of the children of the People's Independent Republics. This Little Red was living with her mother, an honored worker at Tractor Substation 54 in Trotopetsiskorskaya. Trotopetsiskorskaya is a small town, but situated just between Kronotsky, Skopa, and Pskov. I merely wanted to locate that for you. One day, the mama, a woman with heavy legs, but beautiful, says, Krasnaya means red. Krasnaya, I want you to go visit with the grandmother while she's sick in the bed. Here you have a basket full goodies. In basket, you have beet soup, potato soup, beet and potato soup, rye bread, and a spoon. Go to the grandma for a fortnight. Little Krasnaya started off through the woods, and all of a sudden she meets Boris Ivanovich Wolf. Hello, says that Wolf. Where you are going, Alexandra Petrovna? To a meeting of the district committee in charge of stoning foreign embassies? Niet, she says. I go to the grandmother sick in the bed. Preservation of the family is one of the basic tenets of our glorious party, says Wolf. And he gets lost. Gradually, Little Red arrives to the house. A glorious workers' paradise of 1 room, shared with a family of 7, with glass in the window, which before the revolution, believe me, you could only have it, you should be a Romanov. And there in bed is maybe grandma, maybe not. Grandma, says Little Red, how big by you are the teeth? Da, says the wolf, for indeed it was her. Da, he says, all the better for thorough chewing, because you realize, Alexandra Petrovna, I am one of those unfortunates who cannot brush after every meal. He leaps out of the bed. At this moment, the door opens and in is coming a young man, second vice president of Troyopetsiskorskaya District Committee for the Transshipment of Dissident Elements, and saves her. For this, he is made first vice chairman. They are married in an irreligious ceremony and are allowed to live in the house with grandma and the family of 7. Next week, I tell you the story of Goldilocks and the 3 imperialist warmongers. До свидания.
And as one might expect on Moscow Radio, we have good music.
Momentarily, the concert will begin right away. Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky was born in Old Russia, as it was called at that time. He lived for a while in St. Petersburg or Petrograd or Leningrad,
depending on when you live there. I was born in Binsnevia, a small town. It's near Voroshibdansk. I just wanted to place that for you. My grandmother and grandfather still live there. Actually, my grandfather lives in the barn. They are separated. Voroshibdansk is about 40 miles from Omsk, but uphill. Horses don't like it. No. Yes, some horses like it, but not in winter. Most horses, you don't have to go that way. You could go the other way through Boitsk, but it takes you hours. Traffic in greater metropolitan downtown Boitsk is terrible. Pigs, goats, peasants. You wouldn't like it. No. Yes, you might like it, but when Linsky first met Korsakov, he was 27 years of old. Some people say he was 29. He wasn't. He was 27. Or 8. Why argue? Life's too short. You may not even be here tomorrow, especially in Russia. And if you are living in Russia, you may not even be there tomorrow. Or later this afternoon. The first violinist is a very interesting man. He's a relative by divorce. Years ago, I was married to his first wife, so he's my ex-brother-in-law by divorce. He plays terrible, but he's now the brother-in-law of the conductor, so what would you expect? When Korsakov met Rimsky, he was part owner of the Bolshoi Theater. In those days, you could at least part own something. Of course, hardly anybody did. Today, nobody owns everything. How could you make a living from that? Now, you will notice in first movement, first 3 bars is silent. He stole that. Next 4 bars is flutes. You wouldn't like it. Now he's coming on stage conductor. You wouldn't like him. Here is coming overture. I go home.
Они пишут самой лучшей девушке своей. Если писем не получишь, сообщи скорей. Если две машинки делали хитро, все чернила очень липкие, очень скверное перо. It's a long way to Prairie. It's a long way. Oh, it's a long way to Prairie.
It's a Long Way to Tipperary, sung by the Soviet Army Chorus with the Soviet Army Band. We heard Henry Morgan with Russian concert commentator and Little Red Riding Hood. And Michael Benteen gave us that peek at Moscow commercial radio. One thing that we've learned from watching Moscow television on the Discovery cable television channel is that Soviet television is not anymore an exact reflection of its society than is American television, but you certainly can get a feeling for a people through its television, and the decided impression is that the Russian people are really not too much different from us. All of this, of course, has reached you through the courtesy of Weekend Radio. We have promised you some Will Holt.
Bills dance all in Bilbao, Bilbao, Bilbao. Oh, was the greatest dancer in the world, I'm sure. There you could for just $1 whoop and holler, whoop and holler, whoop and holler. Do a lot of things I wouldn't call so pure. All the same, I'm not so sure that if you'd gone there, you'd have liked it. It was a special kind of place. Ah, brandy left to hit you at the door. Blades of grass grew right up through the floor. The moon shone green through a roof of glass, and the music that they played there had such class. Ah, that Bilbao moon, when love was worth your while. Ah, that Bilbao moon, and people lived with style. Ah, that Bilbao moon, where did the time all go? Ah, that Bilbao moon, I guess we'll never know. I'm not so sure you would have liked it, but then it was the greatest. It was the greatest. It was the greatest place on earth. Bills dance all in Bilbao, Bilbao, Bilbao. Has reopened under different management. Lots of palm trees, lots of ice cream. Very flashy, very flashy. But you know it's not the same establishment. Now I bet if you went in, you'd feel at home. And that is, if potted palms are just your style. No grass is growing on that modern dance floor. The moon shining through the roof is just a moon. And the music that they play there, it's the kind you'd never ask for. Oh, Joe, play me that old-time tune, so sure you would have liked it, but then it was the greatest. It was the greatest. It was the greatest place on earth. It was the greatest. It was the greatest. It was the greatest place on earth.
A well-loved record, as you can hear. Will Holt and the Bilbao Song by Kurt Weill. Well, let us now examine the topic of real estate from an historical viewpoint.
As the white man's foothold increases, the red man's land diminishes. Seldom has history recorded such a phenomenal land transaction as that which took place on a little island in the Hudson River in 1626. There, a voice cries out in the wilderness, and a city is born.
Too many moons we live here, White Cloud. Time to unload this crummy island. Why we not live in Massachusetts like your brother? He get invited to lunch.
Big deal.
This place too hot in summer, too cold in winter. No place for papoose to grow up. No chance for culture.
Well, he could run down to Carnegie Wigwam on Sunday afternoons, listen to Flying Birdstein explain the ceremonial dances.
You listen me. Sell Manhattan to white man. Get me plenty junk jewelry. All right?
All right. Me list with real estate agent. He find live one, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Chief, I think I got a live one for you, Dutchman. Now, when he gets here, let me do all the talking, all right? Hey, here he is now. Come in.
Say, that's pretty hard buffalo hide you got here on this teepee. I like to bust my knuckles.
Yeah, well, just so he didn't bust his pockets, eh, Chief?
Tishman's my name, Peter Tishman.
And this here is Chief White Cloud. What can we do for you, sir?
Well, I seen your listing in the paper here. For sale, Iceland, ! Ideal for summer festival. Gorgeous view, spell view, running water.
Wait a minute. What is that running water bit?
That my wife brother. He go with island.
Oh, yeah.
Spacious trees, wall-to-wall grass, room for pool. What's pool?
It's like snooker.
Oh.
Well, that's it. Now, if you're in the market for an island friend, you couldn't go wrong, believe me.
What's the asking price?
You give us...
Let me handle this, will you, Chief? Now, a beautiful piece of property like this couldn't let it go for a nickel less than $32 worth of junk jewelry.
What, $32 for a crummy piece of underdeveloped property like this? I'm going to see you around.
Make it $29.50.
Go away.
Look, I don't like to haggle, Pete. Make it $28.25, right?
Come on.
Wait a minute. Chief, when I give you the signal, bring on the Indians.
Right.
Now, look, Pete, baby, can't you see the possibilities? Step outside here. Look around you. Sure, it's a barren piece of wasteland now. Sure, it don't look like much. But someday, this little footpath is going to echo with the sound of dancing feet. Why, they're going to hang a sign right over there, and it's going to say Broadway. Yeah. This way, Mr. First Nighter. Put on your top hat, white feather and tails. Paint up your faces, you reds and you pales. Put on your beaded goods, we're gonna do the woods. Tap dance up the hills and down the dale. Remember, someday, this all will be mirth. Yes, sir, right here on Broadway. Corner 51st, yes, sir. You'll be a vital part of all the terribly smart set in your top hat, white feather and tails. Here we go! Let me have it, boys! Stand up to your penthouse and look at the view. Mixed with a show folk and Park Avenue, yes, sir. So gay and so aloof, name dropping on the rooftop, drinking champagne by the pail. In your top hat, white feather and tails.
Say, that was a nice number. You kids get a pretty good sound out of them moccasins.
Yes, sir, considering they were tap dancing on dirt, too.
Well, I'm going to see you.
No, wait a minute. Make it 25 even. We'll toss in the Bronx.
No, I couldn't possibly see my way clear.
We throw in Staten Island.
You hear that? Is that a generous Indian? You'll have Manhattan, the Bronx, and Staten Island, too. Hello? Yeah, Dick. We use any more, we'll have to pay a royalty, huh? All right, sweetie, we'll knock it off. Right. Okay. Yeah, okay.
I'll give you $24.
Sold. But none of that cash stuff. The chief's wife wants strictly junk jewelry.
Baubles, bangles, bright, shiny beads.
Yeah, hold it, baby, will you? You're laying yourself wide open for another phone call.
Okay, it's a deal. Here you go. You're lucky the price wasn't no higher. I never carry more than $24 in junk jewelry.
Nice quality. Wife flip.
All right, men, pack up those trees and let's get out of here.
What?
Strike the forest.
Wait a second. Where are you going with my trees?
What do you think? You bought a furnished island?
You mean all those trees was in park?
Yes, laugh on you. Whole island solid concrete. Nothing grow except in little square place in middle of island.
But how am I going to get people to live on a solid concrete island?
Who would want to? Nice place to visit,
But you wouldn't want to live here. I guess you're right.
Plymouth Rock Real Estate. We put ourselves out to put you in. Oh, yes, Mr. Bradford. How have you been? Oh, could you talk a bit louder, Mr. Bradford? Seems to be a terrible noise coming from your end of the phone. Oh, yes, yes. Those Indians do tend to be a little noisy when they attack. What can I do for you, Mr. Bradford? You want to sell? In a hurry? Really, why? Oh, well, you might have expected an Indian attack or two. I mean, at the price I gave you. You must remember, minority groups always have trouble when they move into a new neighborhood. Didn't I mention that your property was right in the heart of the Indian sacred burial grounds? Why, I must have mentioned it. Well, I say they're certainly after you, aren't there? Aren't there? Must be at least a dozen of them. 200? Good heavens. Well, obviously you can't beat them. I say, have you ever thought of becoming an Indian? Well, it's an idea. I mean, well, you wouldn't have to worry about a place of worship, would you? They aren't taking in new members. Bad show. Well, look, I tell you what, threaten them. Tell them we won't invite them to our next Thanksgiving dinner. Thanksgiving, Mr. Bradford, you remember that party? Oh, you passed out before the food. Pity, it was quite delicious. Oh, Mr. Bradford, a couple have just come into the office. Maybe I can sell your house to them. I'll call you back. Bye. Oh, do come in. Please sit down. You're a very handsome couple. Buy or rent? Buy. Ah, you're very smart buying now, you know. This is the time to buy between the winter frosts and the Indian uprisings. Property is really going up, you know. The Dutch bought this island down south somewhere. Man has some sort of name, I've forgotten. Whatever the name is, they paid $24 for it. They wouldn't take 30 for it now, you know. And they haven't improved it that much. Put in a few bowling alleys or two, but you know, that's all. Well, I've got just the spot for you. It's a lovely little place. It's the old Bradford place. 1.5 baths, both within 50 feet of the house. So conveniently placed, too. One uphill and the other down. Your loveliest place. Excuse me. Jonathan? Jonathan? Oh, there you are. Will you take these nice people out to the Bradford place? Thank you. Goodbye. Hello, Chief. Chief Pennington here. At the real estate office. Get your braves away from the Bradford place, will you? I've got a live one. Keep them away for a few days. At least till I get a deposit. Thank you. Love to the score.
But of course, conditions have not changed over the years, have they?
We are in the process of buying a home. And when you buy a home, you deal with realtors, you see. Now, realtors are people who did not make it as used car salesmen, you see. You see the ads, and you say, honey, this is our dream house. Then you go out to it, you see, and you meet the realtor, and he comes on like this. Well, hi there. Well, here she is. Boy, somebody's going to steal this little beauty, you know. I'm not supposed to tell you this, but this baby is priced way below the market. Way below. This the wife, is it? How do you do? Breck Snyder. John Breck Snyder. Oh, look at it. Is that the little baby? How old? 14 months, huh? Boy, she's gonna break a lot of hearts when she gets older. A little boy, is it? All right. Wonderful. You always hate to give him the first haircut, don't you? Well, there she is. Boy, is that a beauty? Yeah, there she is. This is what we call rustic. This is kind of your rustic home. Well, of course, that's a question of semantics. You know, when does it quit becoming rustic and start becoming ramshackle? You know, it's kind of hard. It's a wonderful family home. Though it's got seven bedrooms and 1 bath. Anyone with any imagination or happens to own a contracting business could just do wonders with this house. Yeah, this is 3/4 of an acre. Mm-hmm. Well, now actually, come over the cliff here. Let me show you where where your property runs. You see the road way down there? That is all your land, all the way down to the road. I mean, somebody's car stalls and they start to lean on the cliff there. You can just say, "Hey, get off that land. That's my land." You see? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You saw the ad, did you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is you got the view of the ocean and the view of the valley. It's very, very rare. The ocean view. You want to you come over here by the cliff. That's the way. Yeah. You just get down. You see? Now. Can you see between the boughs there? There's. You see the ocean? Wait a minute. There it is. You see it? You see it that time? People tell me that the people that own this house, they tell me they used to come out here, Sunday afternoon and get down on all fours and crouch and just watch the ocean and all your troubles just seem to float away, Just wonderful. The valley view, yeah. Listen, you want to boost your wife on my shoulders? Let me show you the valley view. It's kind of a Frank Lloyd Wright kind of feeling the home gives you. It just kind of seems to fit. Seems to flow right into the atmosphere there. As a matter of fact, the back of the house is starting to flow. I think it. Yeah. Oh, and pardon. No, the people that lived here before tell me that you can hardly hear anything from the sheet metal plant across the street there. They hardly even knew it was here. Folks, I didn't explain about the kitchen. Folks.
And of course, there are those who prefer to build their own house.
Brick and wood, mortar and plane, labor's love, a little faith. You can see the structure taken forward, ancient tools, a new design, taken care, taken time. We've seen so many houses fall before. We are building a house, growing tall before our eyes. Stone on stone, watch it rise. We are building a house with our hands, with our songs. May it stand as long as our lives. As we tinker with the plans, gentle friends lend their hands, laying down a sturdy hardwood floor for the future from the past, room to change, built to last. Come the snows of winter, we'll be warm. We are building a house, growing tall before our eyes. Stone on stone, watch it rise. We are building a house with our hands, with our songs. May it stand as long as our lives. And sometimes you'll need a vacation. I'll need one too, sunning on the sand, running in a blinding rain. After the recreation, we can sleep in our own bed once again. That easy chair you've always known, photographs from long ago, Thanksgiving Day parade moving in. So many books upon the shelves, so much more to teach ourselves. Under this roof we shall begin. We are building a house growing tall before our eyes. Stone on stone, watch it rise. We are building a house with our hands, with our songs. May it stand as long as our lives. May it stand as long as our lives.
I've said this before, that's really such a nice song. Housewarming by Fred Small. Exploring the world of realty, Stan Freberg, Terry Thomas, and Bob Newhart. Each week, we publish a playlist of the items that we present on this program, and we publish it for the purpose of sending it to you if you so request. It gives you an idea of what is available and what is not available among the material that we play. We list the item, the artist, the record number, the record label, and an indication as to whether or not the record is still in print or whether it's an import. If you'd like a copy of the playlist, all you have to do is write to us. Our address is Weekend Radio, in care of WCLV, which is a radio station in Cleveland. It's 26501 Emory Industrial Parkway, Cleveland, Ohio, 44128. We call this program Weekend Radio, and my name is Robert Conrad. Once again, Will Holt.
Quite so free as river, eagle, and me. River, it got to flow, eagle, it got to fly. Eagle, it got to feel his wings against the sky. Possum, he liked to run, ivy, it liked to climb. Bird in the tree and the bumblebee want freedom in autumn and summertime. Ever since that day, when the world was an onion, it's been natural for the spirit to soar and play the way the Lord wanted it, free as the sun is free. That's how it's got to be. Whatever is right for the bumblebee and the river and the eagle is right for me. River, it got to flow, eagle, it got to fly, eagle, he got to feel his wings against the sky. Possum, he liked to run, ivy, it liked to climb. Bird in the summer tree and the bumblebee want the freedom in autumn and summertime. Ever since that day when the world was an onion, it's been natural for the spirit to soar and play the way the Lord wanted it, free as the sun is free. That's how it's got to be. Whatever is right for the bumblebee is also right for the bird in the tree. Whatever is right for eagle is right for me.
The Harold Arlen Yip Harburg tune, Eagle and Me, is sung by Will Holt. I really wonder what's happened to him. I have not heard anything about Will Holt in years. And now, this word.
Schubert and Goethe, an unbeatable combination. You loved them in Gretchen am Spinnrade. You thrilled to their Jägers Abendlied and Erster Verlust. Now, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe and Franz Schubert return with the most terrifying experience of all, Earl König.
Wir reitet so spät durch Nacht und Wind.
The most frightening event in a child's lifetime. He begged and pleaded for help, but his father did nothing. And then it was too late. In medieval Europe, no one can hear you scream.
Brand new record on the Turquoise label by a group calling themselves the Special Consensus. That was Margarita Breakdown. The album is entitled Freight Train Boogie. Errol Koenig, the commercial, was created for us by Jerry Robbins. The other Sunday afternoon, I was watching a movie on one of the local independent television channels, and the film ended about 8 minutes before the time period in which it was slotted. And in order to fill, they brought out a 1937 movie-tone newsreel with Lowell Thomas and Hugh James as the commentators. And that was a lot of fun.
The Megaphone Newsreel marches around the continent, across the 7 seas, and right into your face. Yugoslavia. In a ritual as old as the word itself, Yugoslavian mountain men prepare to roll and slide down the face of the 38,000-foot Mount Krasny Dang in search of St. Buster's Button. A somber religious festival becomes even more somber when our Megaphone newsreel camera catches one of the brave Yugoslavian mountain men, then loses him, then catches him, then loses him, then finally catches him again in a tumble to tragedy on the steep mountainside. Disaster and sacred religious rituals mix under the brooding peaks of Mount Krasny Dang in Yugoslavia. Hollywood, California, where lovely film star Nita Olay shows perfect form as she tees off in the annual Celebrity Miniature Golf Tournament, attracting many of the movie capital's brightest names on behalf of the Panama Headache Relief Fund, a veritable panorama of the screen's most familiar faces, taking time out for fun and a worthy cause. The final hole, and Nita Olay misses a 2-inch putt to finish far down in the star-studded field. Lovely Nita Olay loses the Celebrity Miniature Golf Tournament, but she wins an even bigger prize, as after the tournament, she announces her engagement to her caddy. Wedding bells soon to chime for lovely Hollywood star Nita Olay. Turkey. Turkish troops begin annual maneuvers in the country's rugged eastern foothills as this cardboard tank fires volleys of tennis balls at the cardboard fort, manned by Turkey's crack 17th Division. In realistic battle-like action, the 17th Division fights back with pea shooters and water pistols. As overhead, mighty single-engined aircraft drop flour bags, and the elite Turkish paratroop corps lands in a nearby field. Pillow fights in close hand-to-hand combat, and a monster cannon fires, unleashing a flag that says, "Bang!" The modern Turkish army on maneuvers, as witnessed by our megaphone newsreel camera. Switzerland. Our megaphone newsreel camera takes to the air for a bird's-eye view of the devastation wrought by Mother Nature in the sleepy Zut Valley of northeast Switzerland. There are no survivors from the avalanche that engulfed an entire village in its deadly shroud of white. Another brutal reminder of nature's awesome power, triggered, authorities say, by a ski instructor zipping up his fly. An avalanche in Switzerland, triggered by a ski instructor zipping up his fly. The megaphone newsreel marches around the continent, across the 7 seas, and right into your face.
And that's how we used to get our news. We go to the movie on Saturday afternoon, and in addition to the feature film, sometimes 2 feature films, cartoon shorts, a travel log, coming attractions, we'd have the newsreel, which would show us the world. And that's the way it was when the world was young.
It isn't by chance I happen to be a boulevardier, the toast of Prairie. For over the noise, the talk, and the smoke, I'm good for a laugh, a drink and a joke. I walk in a room, a party, a ball. Come sit over here, somebody will call. A drink for monsieur and a drink for us all. But how many times I stop and recall the apple trees and the memories where the hammocks run, lying in the hay, and the games we'd play while the rounds were sung. Only yesterday, when the world was young. Wherever I go, they mention my name, and that in itself is some sort of fame. Come by for a drink, we're having a game. Wherever I go, they're glad that I came. The talk is quite gay, the company fine. There's laughter and lights and glamour and wine, and beautiful girls, and some of them mine. But often my eyes have a different shine. The apple trees, blossoms in the breeze that we walked among, lying in the hay, and the games we'd play while the stars were strung. Only yesterday, when the world was young. While sitting around, we often recall that laugh of the year, that night at the mall. The blonde was so attractive that year, some opening night that made us all sneer. Remember the time we all got so tight? Jacques and Antoine got into a fight. The Jean who came passed out like a light. I'll laugh with the rest, for it's all very bright. Ah, the apple trees and the hive of bees, where we once got stung. Summers in Bordeaux, rowing a bateau, where the willow hung, just a dream ago, when the world was young.
Will Holt and When the World Was Young, here on Weekend Radio. As we listen to Kevin Roth and his Belsimer Suite, we remind you that Weekend Radio is heard each week through the Concert Music Consortium satellite system. Our friends in Monroe, Louisiana, listen to us through the courtesy of KNLU. I hope that you enjoyed the program enough this week to join us again next week. My name is Robert Conrad, and this program is indeed Weekend Radio.
a child to see the world begin on monarch wings and birthday wanderings. I want to put on faces, walk in the wet and the cold, and look forward to my growing old. To grow old is to change, and to change is to be new. To be new is to be young again. I barely remember when. My memory is stolen by the morning, blotted out by the sun's hypnotic eye. Out by the sun's hypnotic eye. Today is the first day of the rest of my life. I awake as a child to see the world begin on monarch wings and birthday wanderings. I want to put on faces, walk in the wet and the cold, and look forward to my growing He's been a friend to me for such a long time, and it's hard to find the words to let him know that his only love has been unfaithful, and with the very one he trusted more. I'd like to find some easy way to tell him, but no words can help a broken heart to mend. Our love shouldn't be, but it's either him or me, and I'm praying, Lord, just let the best man win.
That hello, baby, you knew what I liked did not go with the epistle to the Romans. But in some way, Buddy Holly did. And all my love, all my kissing, you don't know what you've been a-missing, went right along with sanctification by grace. I don't know how, but it did. Every day it's a-coming closer, going faster than a roller coaster. Love like yours will surely come my way. A-hey, 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 a-hey. Gosh, it seems like yesterday.